Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and welcome to Farthest Frontier. Today, for this video, I wanted to make a quick start guide for anybody and everybody looking to get started in this amazing survival city builder with combat, farming, and of course, lots and lots of trade. It's a wonderful city builder. If you love games like Banished and Anno 1800 and more, you're going to love Farthest Frontier. And if you've already got the game and you're here for some tips and tricks, or if you're an expert, make sure you share things that you know down below in the comment section. And keep in mind, a lot of this may change as well, as the game is releasing on August 9th into early access and will receive updates. And so things like, for example, the cost of certain buildings and how certain things are laid out, or menus in which they're found, could change. So keep that in mind. Thank you very much for subscribing. Smash a like on today's video so other people can find the tutorial as well. And let's get started. I'll try to make some timestamps here for different types of tips. So if you're looking to build the city and start right that way, go ahead and jump forward. I'll link that all down below in the chapters and also in a pinned comment, and so you can see all the different types of techniques and things that I can come up with for a quick start guide. Well, if you're still here, let's go ahead and get started by starting a new settlement in the game. First and foremost, you have the option for a general settings, the center one Trailblazer being kind of a more middle of the road, Pioneer being easier for newer city builders or people just getting started in this one for the first time, and Vanquisher with a much more challenging start. Now, I've played on the middle difficulty and the high difficulty, and it's more of a difficult start so far for me, but the middle and end game could be much more challenging based on how many hostiles and how much disease breaks out and how quickly you can deal with it. Not really liking the city name down here either of Tombstone, so let's re-roll that one. I don't want anybody to die to death. For today's purposes, we're going to start on Trailblazer, but you can also modify more settings by going to Advanced, and you can turn things up and down. If you hover over any of the options, it'll tell you what it does and what it affects. So, for example, Wildlife, if you put it to Pioneer, it reduces the number of threatening animals, such as bears and wolves, and increases the potential of more plentiful hunting animals, game, like deer and boar. Boar can still attack your people, but there's still a good food source as well. So just hover over all those different options to see what they do, and you'll be able to turn things up and down to your liking. You can hover over everything in this game, so keep in mind that these tooltips are very helpful, and you can do that in the in-game menu as well. If you want to choose a map, you can also hover over these. It'll tell you what the differences are, with the lowland lakes probably being the most beautiful. I always play on that one, and also probably the easiest for starting. But if you want a mix of challenge and beauty, I would recommend the Alpine Valleys, which is mountains, but also lakes, too, at the same time. So for today's purposes, we're going to go with the Lowland Lakes in the city of Amherst. And by the way, the map size in this game is gargantuan. It's huge. When you start your starting city, if you scroll out to the maximum amount that you can see, it's probably about maybe 75 to 100 times the size of a city that you can see from the maximum out zoom if you're doing like 1920 by 1080 or higher. So it's incredible. Additionally, if you're not interested in any of the animals, if it scares you to have raiders or whatnot for your first run, you can also enable pacifist mode, which completely disables any sort of aggressive animals, so wolves and bears, and no invasions. There can be warfare, there can be raiders that come in. Typically, there's mostly people who are burglars, like raiders, who are just like armed bank robbers, essentially, who try to take your things. And so you can bypass all of that by just going into pacifist mode. But we're going to go Trailblazer, City of Amherst, and Lowland Lakes on a map size large in non-pacifist mode. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, welcome to our beautiful city. Right, so when we spawn in here, it'll tell us that the scouts that we've sent out ahead, which is done automatically, have finished exploring the area, and now it's time for us to place a town center. So what should you do when placing your town center? Well, first and foremost, you can take all the time in the world, because this map is paused until you've placed your town center. People will still wander around and do things on their own, but for the time being, everything's okay. So no need to rush, no need to worry. An important thing, as it tells you, is to place your town center somewhere near a lot of resources, so that way your town can begin its construction. And the most important resources from the very get-go are probably trees, because you'll need to finish your town hall too. Your people, when they arrive, a wagon will spawn, and there'll be some wood on board that will allow you to start construction on this town hall, but not finish it. So this seems like a very nice area here, a good clearing to build. There are a few trees, but we can clear those out. It's next to a lakefront, and there seems to be plenty of fish over here as well. And so what I would say is, when it comes to being near your town hall, I think you just need to be able to see it within about a screen and a half of where you're looking. So if you place your town hall and all you got to do is scroll a little bit to see, for example, fish, or scroll a little bit to see berries and stones and things like that your people can later mine to build buildings, or for example, clay up here, which can be used later, you'll be all right. So not everything has to be directly close. In fact, preferable if it's a little further away from your city, because once you start building your buildings, you'll be on top of the resource, such as eggs, for example, over here. But we'll go over that soon enough. All right, you'll have to just press the tab key if you want to rotate a building. So based on where you want to put your town hall, you can go ahead and rotate in any direction. And we'll put ours kind of in a flat area here, facing towards the lake. So we'll place that right about here, and we'll get started. Don't worry too much about rolling hills or whatnot. You can always flatten the land in the game, but just placing it anywhere where there's an opening around it is okay. So once you have placed your city hall, you can press yes, and everyone will come over to build it. Now the game truly begins, and I would recommend that you pause to take a moment or two to continuously look around. So the first alerts that it'll tell you are housing and firewood are low, and those are two of your priorities before winter. So think of this game in 3 phases. 1. Placing your town hall somewhere near all the other resources and getting a good glance at the land around you. 2. Getting ready to survive the first winter. And then 3, phase 3, getting your town hall to phase 2 or tier 2 via some upgrades and prerequisites that are required in order to upgrade. So once you've placed your town hall, your people will start to construct it, but they won't have enough material to do so. So you can go ahead and click this second tab here, the Harvest Resources. It looks like a hammer and a pickaxe, or you can press H on your keyboard, Hotel. And so you can deselect and select things that you would like them to gather. In this case, we're going to only have them gather trees and wood, so that way they can continue to construct the town hall and also some homes. Not all trees can be gathered. Some of them are either not mature yet, or are not trees altogether. They're not something that creates a lot of wood, and so it wouldn't be really worth them cutting down. We're going to try to cut down everything around this area. That's a lot of trees to cut down, but keep in mind that we do need to make firewood as well. In this game, the ratio of firewood is 1 log creates 15 firewood, so that's a pretty good amount, but also your buildings that produce are going to need firewood as well. So keep in mind that you always are going to be needing to produce logs in order to produce planks, which is kind of a specialty wood for construction of certain buildings, and then always firewood. You can never have too much, but you might always put it on pause if you're making too much and not enough logs. All right, the people are now going to clear the area around the town hall, and as they're doing that, it's recommended that you could remain paused, but I'm going to go ahead and unpause here as we build our first road. It's a smart idea, actually, to build like a little plaza in front of your town hall, so don't build a road like directly around it. You can build it like a few blocks here and there in front of it, because eventually we can build parks here, and it's a great way, as it typically ends up being the center of town, to add some desirability by leaving some space for decorations and stuff. So you can just go ahead and build roads. Roads cost essentially nothing other than the time it takes for the workers to come over and actually construct the road. And you can go ahead and upgrade the roads too with stone, but you'll need, of course, stone to do that. And I believe you might need to be a different tier to do that. We'll see if they construct that soon enough. Right, so we got a little wagon here. This wagon actually serves as a storage building for the town. Things are not necessarily stored at the town hall, but they're actually stored in these wagons. And you can make a few of these, which is great for sending the wagon far out into the woods and have all your workers gather resources and put them in the wagon, and then bring it closer to the town so people can grab from the wagon. So it works as a great mobile warehouse, essentially. 750 is the maximum storage, and you can see all the usable items in here, food, and raw materials too. And there's also an option to move it, so you can click move and move the little wagon somewhere to where you're going to be doing some of your initial stuff. So roads are being built, people are finishing clearing the land for the roads and the town hall, and they're also gathering some more material. If you see at the very top here, we've started at the beginning of spring. Now it's mid-spring of year 1. Time moves rather quickly in this game, So you've got to move quickly too. So recommended that you never go over speed 1, especially if it's your first time, and pause often. Pause anytime that you need to read something. And again, remember, you can hover over all the options in the game to find out what a lot of these things are. For now, we're going to ignore a lot of these, but we are going to go over the basic resources here again of logs, firewood, and planks. That's what we're going to be trying to gather and create first in order to upgrade our town hall. There's also hotkeys underneath each of these building options too. So the building menu, or how to manage walls, or how to build roads. You can either press N as in November, or you can always go to the little build menu to do that. I think there's one in here too. There might be an option for it. I think it's under walls and roads. Yeah, and then you can upgrade once you reach tier 2. So the cobbled road, aka stone. All right, let's go ahead and get everybody working. It is a beautiful game too, by the way, so another pro tip is if you'd like to take pictures of your town and share it with me or anybody else, if you press right bracket and would like to kind of take a look at how the town's working, just kind of in a peaceful mode, because this game, even though it is a survival game, has its moments of peace, and it's beautiful. Leaves blowing, rain falling, lightning striking. Oh yeah, and it can also burn down your buildings, so be careful of that. I've not had it happen the first year, but it is always a possibility. But I think it's probably programmed to not strike your town hall, otherwise it'd be an immediate failure if your town hall burned down, and you wouldn't be able to do anything else. If we press F or Foxtrot, we can see fertility around us of where certain areas will be great for farming in the future. So as you would imagine, we built kind of near the lake, so there's some more fertile land here, but it's going to be important not for us to build in the upper right part of town, because that is where some clay is and some more fertile land. So we'll maybe do some farming there, but we don't have to. We can farm in other locations. We can also raise the fertility of land if we need to, but we'll cover that later. Don't worry, we're going to try to keep things as basic as we can for the start. All right, now that everybody's basically clearing as much of the land as they can, we're going to go ahead and start building some houses too. So let's have our wagon move a little further away from town. Maybe we'll park it maybe up here by the lake, so the wagon will move over there. The wagon glitches out from time to time in the early access version, but that's okay. All right, let's go to housing. So under the housing tab, we're just building the shelter. There's only one type of home to build in the game, and homes will upgrade over time once you supply them with certain goods. So once you build a house, it is as big as it will ever be. And it's a 3x3 building. You can read a little bit more about it there on what its requirements are. But basically, at the beginning, people just need firewood, some berries and meat, and some water. So we'll get on that very quickly here. So we're going to go ahead and build 6 houses. We can go ahead and rotate them again, remember, by pressing tab. And this is showing desirability. Not really desirable to live really anywhere because we haven't beautified it, but it's a good idea to build it near your town hall. We'll go ahead and build 6 houses. As later in the game, it will be kind of an event for more people to join us if we build 6 houses and amass 4 months of food. So right now, we've got 9, and we need to build these houses. So our food will go down by the time these houses are complete. Each of these homes takes 10 wood to build too, so you can see we only have enough for 1 home to be constructed at the moment. But we'll get on it then. So if there's ever the pickaxe and the axe over an area, it means the workers need to clear that area of obstruction. So stone, bushes, and trees. And if there's just the resource sitting there, that means the land is cleared, and the construction crews just need to bring over the resources and complete the construction. So it's kind of a 2-phase thing. Yep, so you can see the people coming on back to the wagon then. And we're clearing out more and more land, so the wagon's in a pretty good spot. I don't want to build it too far, or put it too far to the left or right, since they're clearing out trees everywhere. So no worries, things take a lot of time in this game, including building farms and such, so there is a rush, certainly, to provide your people with all the things they need in order to survive, but, of course, first things first, do things in a certain order. Alright, construction crews are beginning the construction of homes, and they're delivering the materials, so we've already got our first house up, fantastic. Let's take a look at our trees again and press H. Anything highlighted in white is something that we're going to cut down or harvest. If we want to undo that, we can hold shift and drag over that again. So if there's a tree we don't want to cut down that's maybe too far away, or we're not cutting it down for decorative purposes, you can undo that by holding shift and dragging over that. Alright, so 12 people. I think each of those numbers, by the way, for where there's a hammer, I think that indicates how many man hours it will take in order to build a building. So 10 hours for the construction crews. The more people on the job, the more the faster it gets done. The quickly they can quickly complete the construction, and that pretty much goes for any building in the game. So we've got ourselves the 3 houses here. It looks like they're kind of off, doesn't it? But they kind of build randomly in order to kind of change their appearance slightly as they're being built. Alright, so we've got ourselves 3 homes and no firewood now. But we're going to, again, stay focused on first building the homes. Spring and summer, firewood's not as important. They will need that in order to cook their food and such, but we'll take this time to look around a little bit for our next move, which will be, well, we're going to be making a firewood cutter here in just a moment, but we're also looking around to see where we can find food, such as greens. You can hover over that stuff and see where it is. Oh, we have some deer here, which are highlighted in yellow, so there's a deer spawning area over here, which means that if we build farm fields nearby, those pesky deer will find it. So we also need to make sure we build fences around our farms. It's something far in the back of our mind, farming. It'll be a few years, trust me, but we're going to start first things first with these homes. So all logs are going towards home construction right now. And another great thing in this game, too, we'll pause for just a second to cover this. We can actually disable construction of buildings and also prioritize construction of buildings, which means if you're an advanced builder, you can turn off construction enabled and basically enter a blueprint mode where you can lay out your whole town, and then as you have more and more supply, you can enable construction, and so it'll kind of be like a already completed town that just is waiting to be built. You can also increase or decrease the number of people constructing a building, so if you'd like to make a building a priority but dedicate a few less workers to it, you can do that as well, where they'll prioritize that building, but also you can put workers on other things, such as if you're building a few roads to go to that building too. Well, so far so good. Awesome. Very nice. We got some berry bushes around and other things to clear out to beautify the town, but I must say it is very painful in this game to actually, you know, cut down these trees. But one thing that you should be paying attention to is this beautiful landscape is not just for beauty. As you play more and more, you'll kind of identify what the land, the differences between the land and really what the land looks like and what it could be used for. So for example, this land here, this green grass is great for farming and also for cattle, and this kind of drier looking grass here is fantastic for building maybe orchards on, as orchards are a little bit more hardy. Those trees can go deeper into the ground and pull that nutrients up and water up from the soil, so it's a good thing too to be able to do that. And so yeah, we got a lot to do. Alright, so now we've got a house here that does not have access to water and does not have firewood, so we're going to build those 2 buildings ASAP. So let's go ahead and make a road. And another thing to consider in this game is that the tree coverage is incredibly important for where you place your wells. In other words, if you place a well in a little forest, don't cut the trees around it, because the trees prevent evaporation and keep an area, especially a water table, wetter for longer, and so thus you can get a lot more water out of it. So there's your basic well. It also increases desirability, so if you happen to build it in the town, it's a good idea to do that. And we're going to go ahead and place that somewhere near the water. So if we place it like over here, for example, you can see we get a little bit of a water bonus. Wells will fill up slowly, so the bonus only helps to increase how quickly it'll fill up, which means that more people can use it, including industries too. Keep in mind some of your industries can also use a well, and a well is also good for fire prevention. If a fire breaks out, they'll run to the well or the nearest water source, in this case a lake, and so they'll use that. We're going to place our well up here, and we're going to leave the trees here and kind of make a road up here as well. It is nice to build it in the town, but we're going to put it over here for now. And yeah, you can see it kind of beautifies the town a little bit. Doesn't get as much of a bonus, but we'll just build it up here just for demonstration purposes of the tree coverage. So that takes 5 stone. We won't be able to build that until we start mining stone, so we'll get to that after we also place our firewood splitter, which does lower desirability a little bit. Don't put it directly next to the homes, but you can put it a little bit further away from the main town, and everyone will be happy with that. So we'll maybe make a road that goes up here. Oh, looks like we've got some stone there. Perfect. We'll go ahead and clear that stone out and make our well from that, and then we'll start putting some industry up here. Even though the land's a little more fertile, it's still pretty close to the town, so good idea to keep your town near your industries. And there are buildings to help that out, but again, we're trying to be quite basic. So now villagers are immigrating to the town. As we have more and more homes to accommodate them, we now currently have 14 out of 20 people in the town. So we can house 20. That'll continue to increase as we build more homes, and it's 4 people per home. So every time we build a house, it increases our town capacity by 4. And as of this moment, there's no building that I can see or upgrade that allows for more than 4 people inside of a house. So if you need more room, you got to build more houses. All right, we'll go ahead and put our firewood splitter here outside of town. Not too far, but pretty close. And our well over here, we'll go ahead and ask our people to gather a few stones here. And if we're wondering how much stone this will give us, if we click on it, it'll tell you 6. So it's exactly what we need for the well. Well, a little bit more, but we can also mine some stones here. I've noticed that in this game there are stones in the water, but our people can't mine them. I think they need to mine the base of a rock, and only the tip of these stones pop out of the water. So don't go for those types of stones. Go for anything around your town. In fact, you can tell everyone to immediately mine everything by just kind of going like that. Cutting down, mining, and harvesting anything within the immediate area like that around your town is a great idea. It's a really great idea. Gets you resources quickly and clears the land for future construction. You can also build curved roads in this game if you'd like to. If you build a road kind of like this, it'll make a curve towards wherever you want to build towards. So better to do square roads. Of course, most buildings are square. Not all of them, but most buildings have a square plot, so it's kind of more useful for your space. But for these purposes, we'll go ahead and build that over there. All right, our people are cutting down a few more trees over on this side, and that should be the rest of it. These trees will grow back, so don't worry about it if you cut down some trees, which hurts me every time. You can be more selective about your harvest too, and only go for the bigger trees, and the smaller ones will eventually grow up too and could replace those smaller trees. All right, everybody and anybody in the town is working, and if we want to see the breakdown of what everybody's doing in the town, we can press P as in Papa, or go to Professions, the middle button on the first tab at the bottom, and we can actually see what everybody's dedicated to doing. And you can see all the different jobs in the game. Don't be overwhelmed. The ones that will pop up highlighted will be ones that we've built. So for example, the first industry to pop up will be the third one under resources, which is firewood splitter. We can have 2 people working that job, but for now we only need to have 1. And we can increase and decrease the number of builders dedicated. It's always a good idea to have about 10 laborers or so at minimum. And laborers essentially are people who are not assigned a specific profession, but they'll do anything in the town, anything in the town that needs to be done. So road construction, cutting down trees, transportation sometimes. They'll also mine stone, and can also put out fires and things like that too. As you know, when a building bursts into flame, they'll drop what they're doing, like cutting down a tree, and run for a well to try to put it out. Well, the well is looking all well and good. It is now complete. Oh no, the well is empty. The well's run dry. Well, keep in mind that it needs to fill up a bit, so as we click on it, you'll see it go from 43 to 49 and so on and so forth. So it'll multiply based on the bonus. So a well that's not in a great spot will fill up a lot slower than a well that's you know, closer to water or whatnot. But it looks nice. All right, the next need for our people, firewood, is being taken care of. We've got an awesome Raptorian over here. She's kicking butt, making all that firewood. And you can see here, any sort of building that you make, you can see a lot of detail about it, how many workers that it can have under here, under occupancy. Miscellaneous will show you what is being produced here, what it takes to produce that number, and that there's a work bonus because of whatever, their happiness or whatnot. Happiness, for example, will affect your people's work rate, so that could be something to keep in mind later, but we'll go over that a little bit later. So the basic needs of firewood and water are now taken care of, and the people in the town will run to get those resources and put them into their homes. It'll take a little bit of time to fill up. So if you're seeing these alerts and you have all the things in place, it'll just take a little time for the people to get those resources, and there they go. One more person requiring water. Water, incredibly important. Things like cholera, dysentery, typhoid, other diseases can all be prevented or at least mitigated by having a lot of good, clean water. So that's incredibly important. Not only do they use it for drinking and cooking, but also for bathing and cleaning their homes. So it's incredibly important to have that. All right, great. So we're off to a wonderful start, except for we're going to have a problem with food. Now food is the next thing. We have water, we have firewood, and we have some food in storage, honestly, but food is going to be something that's a constant battle. Luckily, our little wagon down there comes with a few things, and we can see it here in the breakdown of food stores. We have 4 months of food that everyone can eat from, and most of it will spoil in 1 month. We'll lose a month's supply every year. So preservation is a thing we'll have to cover later, but we can definitely make glassware in order to preserve things like vegetables and mushrooms and things like that, but also berries and fruits in order to make spreads and things like that. And also honey is a thing we can do. You can see all the food in the game there. You got meat, fish, and then we can also smoke meat and fish in order to increase its preservation even longer. We can get eggs, bread, beans and peas. We have things like turnips and carrots, mushrooms, greens like cabbage, or things that can be found in the wild from the forager. And then we have preserved goods. Then we have fruits and nuts. And then we have growable fruits such as apples and pears and peaches. Then preserves. And then dairy, we have milk and cheese. And that's some super late game, end game stuff. So we'll worry about that a little bit later. All right, first and foremost, we got two great sources here to take advantage of. The deer, actually. Oh, we have deer, two deer, like grazing grounds or stomping grounds, whatever you want to call it. So hunting, super important. We'll build the hunter first then. Forager, important because we have nuts around, and the forager can work pretty much year-round. They can gather everything, not only food-related, but also for medicine and also materials to make baskets, such as willow. So that'll be something that we can get our people a little bit later for upgrade. So our first upgrade then will cost us 8 shelters. We need to build 2 more homes. We need to build a market, and we need to get our population to 30. So we'll have to continue to build actually 2 more homes because each of them is 4. So we'll get to 28, and then we'll increase that to past 30 to 32. Let's go ahead and build a few more homes then. We'll kind of construct them here and here. And again, remember, we need more and more wood. So it might be a good idea for us to continue to ask for wood to be gathered up here. There's lots of greens there. Hunting can take place year-round. Fishing can take place year-round. Foraging stops in the winter for the most part, but is really good in the spring and fall for mushrooms. In the spring, berries are plentiful and greens and things like that, but they all have their seasons, so keep in mind you'll have to take a look at that. So let's start with the hunting cabin. We'll go ahead and build maybe 2 of those because there's a lot of deer there. So the hunting cabin can also work as a defensive building. There are wolves and there are bears in the game. And also boars can kind of attack too. And so the hunters are armed with a bow and also a pretty good knife. They have a better melee attack than your citizens do. And if anybody gets attacked, you can also select your people like troops. You can highlight everybody in the town and right-click to go somewhere or to attack an animal. So if somebody happens to get attacked by a wolf, they'll run back to the town crying wolf. And you can actually tell all the townspeople to go kick that wolf's butt. We're going to go ahead and build that, I think, over by the wood splitter. It's a good spot to put a hunting cabin. We do not need to put it on the source or near the source. We can put it a little further away, and we can move the work area of the hunter. So we're going to go ahead and put a couple of hunter cabins here. I think maybe we'll put one here and here, just across from each other. And also, we want to build a smoker, which will help to smoke those meats for the weekend. No, for the winter. Now, it's not just a weekend barbecue, it's a full-time job, and that'll be good for the fish as well. So the smokehouse here will take raw meat and raw fish and turn it into smoked goods, which will then last a lot longer. So we're going to build the smokehouse as well. Keep in mind these are, the smokehouse is a little debuff on the desirability, just a little bit. People probably love the smell of that barbecue, but it is pretty smoky, so it's going to be hard for them to breathe and probably irritate the eyes and the nose and whatnot after a while. So we'll build our smokehouse here, but we also need a place to store all these meats, so we can start under storage with our first storage thing once we've built the stockyard. So that's going to be something to store our food for the winter, but we don't get that right away. So we need to build the stockyard first, which is somewhere where the villagers can store logs, stone, and planks. So all the things that our people are making for raw construction materials can be put at the stockyard. So it's a good idea to put that somewhere near the town, but it doesn't give a negative debuff. People aren't really too bothered by that. So we'll maybe put that on the other side of town, where we will probably end up doing some more logging and whatnot. Oh, beautiful little hill here. I like how we built in a valley. It's actually quite nice. Yeah, you can see the town is kind of slightly in a valley there. It's pretty cool. All right, we'll build our stockyard up here, and we'll start mining out stones and things. Looks like it might be a little too sloped or whatnot for them, so we'll build it up here. Or, yeah, I think that's going to be a good spot. That town's going to be rather narrow, so I guess we'll put it a little further outside of town. Not too far they have to go to get their resources, but also not too far that the workers who gather those resources have to go to store them. So you know, someone's going to have the short end of the stick, either the resource gatherer or the person who goes to grab the resource in order to build more things. But hey, this is good. Now we have a good area to gather more trees and get us enough firewood and such for the winter. All right, so the stockyard's going to be built. Then we'll get on to that root cellar. We'll build that over near the hunter. We built a lot. We built 2 hunting cabins, the smoker, and the stockyards. And that'll help us for future construction. And will mean that the wagon can now be used over here to store the meats for a little while too. Although the root cellar is a much better job at that. So we'll have a storage area here for food, a storage area over here for materials. Let's put the wagon up here for storage area for things like the forager and whatnot, which we can build up here. We can build a forager over here too. Again, there's nuts and berries, and there's lots of stuff along the shoreline. But it's a good idea to build a forager kind of once every few, I don't know, circles or initial work areas. So like we could build one here and here and maybe over here. So it's a good idea to like at least start with 3 of them. We'll start with one near the town. People don't mind the forager too much. I like building the buildings like this, where they kind of come in off the main road and then kind of make like a little alleyway here. And this is great because then we can upgrade this road here to stone. And so eventually when we start making shoes for our people, that'll upgrade their movement speed. When we start making baskets for the people, they'll upgrade their capacity for carrying themselves. And so our people will just be much more productive by providing them with a few resources to do their jobs much more quickly. That's going to be fantastic. All right, so we've got a lot of stuff that's being made with wood. In fact, we've got probably about, I'd say we need about 50 wood in storage in order to make it through the winter. So we're getting there. It's now late summer of year 1, moderate temperature, light breeze. Our people do have enough clothing to survive the winter. They all start with hide clothing, which we can eventually make. So no worries there for the first year. It's mostly shelter and some basic foods, including meat. Now, another disease that your people can get is scurvy. And that is, of course, just kind of eating one food type. You want to try to diversify your food. Otherwise, they'll be more susceptible to disease. It's not just scurvy. There's anything that they can get. So you'll definitely want to make sure that you diversify a lot of that stuff. And it should be a good time. All right, so we've got a much higher desirability now, or happiness. That's giving our people a high work rate, a high immigration rate, a high birth rate, and high combat effectiveness just because they've got the basics taken care of. As your tiers go up, your people's desires will increase too, so you don't have to worry about things on day 1 like beer and having access to linen clothing and things like extra shoes. These people are hardy, and they know that life is going to be tough, and so they're ready. They're ready for it. So they're ready to have the tough life for the first few years, or many years. All right, firewood's being made, fantastic. Logs are being chopped down, wonderful. We've got a few more homes here too, outstanding. And we've got a nice area here in the middle too for more homes to be constructed. We could put homes here now too, so we could put 2 more homes on either side of this road and build down this way. Essentially, it's a good idea to build your town kind of like you would in Anno 1800. And if you're not familiar with that, essentially, it's a good idea to build your homes very close together. Not a great idea for fire and disease, right. But for certain services like the market or for desirability from your parks, it's a good idea to get those bonuses early and often. And so that's going to be one thing to kind of keep contesting with. Look at that. All these things are being constructed. No real particular order. I guess they're just building everything that we've put down first. So the hunting cabins will be ready for fall and winter. So we'll at least have some meat, and then the smoker should be up soon. We do have over 16 stone, so we now have enough to construct that with a little left over. That'll go into the stockyard. Like there was an animal there somewhere. A carcass, maybe? Maybe. Alright, berries and herbs are down near the lake. Nuts as well. Hover over any of these to learn about what they are, and you can review all of the food processing buildings to see what they gather. So for example, the hunter cabin takes carcasses of animals and then makes it into pelts, meat, and something known as tallow, which is basically animal fat, which can then be later used for making soap. So it's a good resource to be able to store up. The forager doesn't really show what the forager does at the moment. That would be helpful if the developers put that in, and same with the fishing shack. As you can imagine, it of course gathers fish, but It would be nice if the forager showed what it did. But the forager, incredibly important for medicine and herbs. And again, the willow for making baskets. All right, let's take a look at our people now for their work. Yeah, we're down to 7 free workers now. Everybody's getting a job as a hunter or working down at the other buildings that we've constructed. Maybe the smokehouse, I guess. All right. Or at least they will. I'm going to go ahead and put the circle over both of these. We can kind of see where the deer are. They're in 2 areas. We'll make sure the yellow circle is covered here. And we'll wait until the other hunting cabin is complete. Wonderful. And another one right here. Perfect. All right, so the hunters have their bows. The hunters have their arrows. The hunters will go and do what they need to. Or they'll gather those resources too. Interestingly enough, the people will also store things that they need to eat and drink at their place of business too. And our people are super productive. Rather than going home for lunch or dinner, sometimes they'll just stay at work to get the job done. So there's a lot of time saved from travel time because they'll do whatever it takes to get the town up and running. All right, there's our stockyard, looking good. We can actually see the resources that we have stored there when we get enough of them. So as more and more resources come in, you'll see logs stacking up. You'll also see stones and bricks and other things. I'm going to keep on cutting down these trees. Hate to do it, but we're going to need a lot. But a good idea not to cut down everything. Try to be selective with your cuts. And keep in mind things will grow back over many years. But we need those woods. Green bar there means one of our villagers must have been maybe attacked by an animal or had a shortage of one of the resources they needed for a little bit. Take a look at our food storage. Got 62 smoked meat now and a few vegetables, and that's about it. So the forager is going to be an important building to get up. So hopefully the 10 wood goes over there right away. And there we go. Hopefully they're ready ASAP. Right, so in order to get to tier 2, we also need to amass 25 stone and 40 planks. So while we're waiting for some of these other jobs to get done, let's put down our sawmill, which is under resources, and then under the saw pit or sawmill. That's what will make our planks, but that will gobble up a lot of our wood. So we'll start that probably spring of next year. But since that requires wood in order to make planks, and since the planks need somewhere to be stored, we'll place that somewhere next to the stockyard over there. So we'll go ahead and put that right next door. The green arrows are not always present on every building, but some resources can be transported by a wagon pulled by an oxen. And so some buildings might benefit by having an oxen come to visit them, so it's a good idea to connect buildings with green arrows to roads, but not all buildings need to be connected to roads. We could build a little fishing shack out here and have somebody go fish and have the road up here, and they'll just walk back to the road. The road just gives a movement bonus, but you don't have to build it to every building in order to get the building to function. But like in, for example, the case of the well, it's a good idea for people to be able to access water quickly, as of course it's going to be needed at those homes at all time, or any of the other businesses too. All right, the smoker's about to be up next. So 10 hours of construction on that should be pretty good. Look at that, 41 firewood. Winter is coming, boys. Late autumn of year 1, cold temp, moderate breeze. So it looks like we're getting ready just in time. Our people can cut trees and mine stone all throughout the year, so that's just fine. It looks like we've got enough people to gather those stones. I'm going to go ahead and actually change this up a little bit. Let's go ahead and not cut down trees here or here, and keep it closer to the stockyard so that way they can easily store that resource after they cut down some trees. We'll cut into that forest just a little bit too. We're going to need that wood and stones. Unfortunately, there's not as many stones there, so we're going to have to kind of like go wherever to get those. And we're going to need a lot of that too. So anybody and everybody who's free is working on that. All right, the smokehouse looking beautiful. Look at how gorgeous this game is. And again, pressing that right bracket just to see the buildings there. Absolutely gorgeous. On Steam, you can also press F12 if you'd like it to take a screenshot of any of your buildings or your setups. So if you come up with a great layout for something, or if you want to show a friend something you're up to, you can go ahead and do it that way, and it'll save it without the HUD. And it just looks gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Really cool. All right, 32 is now our new population limit. We have 14, so we're about halfway full on that. Getting close. And we should have some immigrants moving in soon as we get that food source up. And boy, oh boy, are we getting it. Forager needs to be moved. We click on the forager. Cool thing about moving this work area with the first button on the upper right corner, by the way, I may have missed covering that when we moved our hunting area. But as you can see, the foraging resources, you can kind of see how effective they'll be if they go to certain areas. And so this is pretty close by to the forager. We're going to try to capture all these things. A few of those are in gray, which means they're not in season. But when the resources are not plentiful at the lake during certain seasons, the forager will go and gather eggs and berries and other things too. Looks like there's iron nearby, so that'll be helpful for much later in the game. Not until tier 3 that we can really use that resource. Alright, 25 logs now needed for the saw pit, and even more so for the large construction of, or rather creation of a lot of planks, which will be needed for upgrading to tier 1. Winter is upon us, boys. That heavy autumn rain is now going to give way to snow. And you might actually see some geese and such migrating as well. If you look closely or listen closely, you might hear geese flying or passing over your town, so it's very gorgeous to see. Alright, the wagon's on standby. Luckily, you don't have to feed the oxen. They're kind of a free resource for your wagon. Just think of it as a mobile warehouse. Don't have to feed them, don't have to give them shelter. It's all good. They can stay out there forever. They're hardy. They know what to do to survive. They can just eat off the land. I think that's kind of what that simulates, is that the oxen can kind of just go to a pasture in order to eat, and that somebody's taking care of them. Just it doesn't take up any of our manpower. Alright, looks like the rest of the logs are being delivered here. We got people cutting down more stuff. Workers delivering all the resources that they can. We have 17 out of the required 25 stone. So the last thing then is to get our sawmill up, to get our town hall up to tier 2. Now the reason why we want to do that is tier 2 will unlock a lot more resources for us too. And things like the tannery. A lot of the tier 1 stuff will unlock as we continue to build more stuff for tier 2. Especially the resource storage building known now as the storehouse. And we also have, again, the root cellars now ready too. So we can get that stored up. Haven't really been doing that much though, because mostly the meat is going right straight to the little building here and then right straight to the homes. They're not storing too much meat. It does say that it's stored, but that's just because it's actually inside the inventory of the building here or here. And you can also see them storing berries and stuff. So everybody kind of works together to do some light storage as well. So that way nothing's just sitting out for no reason. Let's go ahead and build our root cellar. We'll continue to construct that for the next year. But we're going to put that on pause. Just for today's purposes, we're just going to go straight for upgrading the town hall and show what that's like. But you should be building your root cellar and you should be building your storehouse in order to store those things. The storehouse stores more completed goods, such as the shoes or baskets that are completed. And again, the stockyard stores basic construction materials, such as the logs or the stone or brick. Now, the storehouse also can be attacked by raiders, so you certainly want it to be somewhere near your town, and we'll build some defenses nearby, some defensive towers later on. Again, you don't want it, downtown, because your created goods are going to be near the source in which they're created. The marketplace can come pick those up from the storehouse or the stockyard in order to sell them in the town, or construction workers can swing by too. So it's a good idea, again, not to take up all your housing space for other buildings. Buildings that do affect desirability when you get there, though, are, again, decorations, which there's plenty in the game. Mostly these medium gardens, small gardens, and shrines to worry about. There's also the benefit of things such as the market. The market will increase desirability. Healer's hut, the school, the pub, and also the theater will increase that. And then also, on top of that, the bakery. Everybody loves the smell and being close to fresh bread, so they can buy it straight from the bakery, and they don't even go to the market for that. They want to go straight to the bakery to get that. And so, yeah, it's a good idea to put that in the town. Those are just a few of the buildings that you can plan to accommodate into your town. And you'll get better at your designs, don't worry, and kind of knowing in advance where to leave certain areas. Since you can't build these buildings until they're unlocked, you can't do those in the blueprint mode. Once you know how big a building truly is, then you'll be able to kind of prepare for it. Wow, there's certainly a lot of firewood needed. No, a lot more logs needed, yeah. Well, let's take a look at professions. We've still got 7 people there. Excellent. Not doing the root cellar. We will do the storehouse, but I think we should probably pause that construction to prioritize the saw pit. And we'll go ahead and increase that to max. once everybody's done with the saw pit, they'll be straight on to going and logging trees. Yeah, let's keep adding more and more trees for our people to cut. Yeah, that's a pretty good area for them to cut down. Great! Alright, for demonstration purposes, we will break our rule of going to speed 3. A good idea, though, just to keep on speed 1, because predators could attack at any time, or there could be a big problem in the city, and you might not notice it pop up in the upper left corner if you're not used to looking up there or whatnot. If you're focused on the sheer beauty of everything, I wouldn't blame you. Wow, look at that. Love the construction of the buildings. Just looks gorgeous. The framework of the larger frame and smaller framing for things like the roof and whatnot, looking great. Alright, the sawmill is now ready. By the way, when you build a building, it'll automatically be assigned a minimum number of workers. So if you'd like to take a look at every building when it's complete, you can see the maximum number of workers. Every building's a little different. And you can also hire or fire more people based on if you want more people in a building or whatnot to be more free. And not even really firing, but just like reassigning them. And would you look at that? Winter has hit us, and we were able to survive. More people are immigrating to the city, and we've also got 8 months worth of food now. So all that smoked meat from the venison turned out great. And now we can diversify into things like, for example, fishing and gathering nuts and berries and such. The forager will be grabbing some herbs and whatnot for the meat and eggs too, and hopefully some berries as well. We can also tell our people to go gather berries if we don't have a forager up yet. We can just tell our people, hey, go down and grab some berries or whatnot, and they'll get to work without having to build the building. They're at least smart enough to be able to grab berries. It doesn't really take any resource. I mean, if you think about it, you could probably just fold your shirt, pick up a bunch of berries. It's going to be messy and leave a stain, but, you know, you can just bring it home. At least it's a way to survive. All right, we've got 20 stone and planks. We need a total of 40. So now we're making those, and we need 5 more stone. So at this point, we're just waiting for more people to move into the town. So that's just something that's completely out of our control. No matter how well we set up the town, we still need to wait. And we also have a requirement to build the market before we upgrade to Tier 2 as well. So that's why we've ordered the saw pit to be constructed, which it is. And now we can also order the completion of the storehouse. Now that we've gotten through that rough winter, we can now start to make even more planks and more firewood and cut down more trees and keep authorizing that. Seems like I've ordered a lot of trees to be cut down, and that's true. But keep in mind, a lot of this is going to be turned into planks and such. Alright. So, we also need to gather some more stone. Is there a way to prioritize? Let's go ahead and prioritize. Yes, there is. We can prioritize the gathering of a certain resource, too. In this case, we'll make sure we grab all the rest of that stone for the town hall. So, the storehouse just needs 25 logs to be delivered. And that is our... I think that's pretty much it of all that we're going to build until we have to wait until people move in. We'll get the root cellar constructed too, which is why we need more stone. So actually we can authorize that as well. Nobody needs to work at the root cellar. It's just simply a storage building. So there's no need to worry about that taking up extra labor. We're going to be gathering 9 more stone there. That's still not enough. Go ahead and prioritize. Can we prioritize more than one? Yeah. Alright, so they'll kind of make these 3 rocks more top priority than gathering the logs, and that's okay. Yeah, it takes a lot to make that storehouse, and a lot gets gobbled up by firewood, and a lot gets gobbled up by planks and other buildings that you're building. So logs are always constantly being gathered, always. So much. Yeah, I'm going to build a few, or authorize a few trees to be cut down there too. Certainly a lot to do. Alright, so now we have 4 people on those. Firewood splitters employed 1. Sawyer's employing 2. Smoker's got 1. Forger's got 1. Well, without any planks in the saw pit, we're going to go ahead and turn that building off for now and let them help out with cutting wood. So we're just going to reassign them to cutting logs. So that's pretty much it. At this point, the root cellar will be completed. The storehouse will be completed. The storehouse then allows us to build the market, and then we just need our population to increase. So as more and more people come in, it's a good idea to maybe build ourselves the fishing hut and assign that to fish on the lake, which, by the way, you don't need a fishing like a deposit or whatnot. Like with the deer, we don't need there to be like a, you'll be looking for like a blue circle with an arrow pointing down. You don't need fish to be indicated in the lake in order to be fishing there. It kind of just shows a replenishment point. So we could build a fishing hut somewhere down by the lake. We can build ourselves a another hunter if we want to. We could build another forager, which is probably more advised to build one on the left side of the map. We can gather all the resources over here too. But we've got plenty of food coming in. 251 meat, and that's great, but we need a lot more vegetables and such. And of course, that just takes the season. So let's go ahead and indicate a few more areas to build our fishing docks and our other foragers. So we're going to show that example off of it not needing to be connected to a road by building it there. And we're also going to do the same with another forager too, which we'll build on the left side. And we'll build that out in the wood, out in the prairie here. A little house on the prairie there. There we go. Cool. And yeah, it doesn't need to be connected to work. More efficient that way for one person, but you don't have to do it if you don't want to. And especially upgrading the roads. No need to upgrade a road for somebody like that. Just for one person. Alright, well there we go. Oh, we can see the weather. Light breeze. Good. Very good. Alright, so when the fishing hut completes, we'll just reassign that to somewhere along the lake. And you can kind of see as you select that how many fish you can gather from that same work area there. And we just got to wait for people to move into the town. Now once all of that is complete, and once we have the market built, and once we have 30 population, then we can hit the upgrade button after we've got 40 planks and 25 stone in storage. So let's wait for that to happen. And here we are. Finally, we got 4 people to move in and 2 new villagers that were born, so now we're up to 33 out of 36. We've built our market, and I'm adding some decorations around it with the money that we're making from all the sales and taxes too. And not to mention somebody unfortunately died when they were exploring over here. We had somebody unfortunately have an encounter with a wolf while they were gathering stone. They were booking it back to town, but accidents do happen. So outside of town, we're building a graveyard over here, and that's where we'll be able to bury our dead. On occasion, when your citizens become attacked, they could become wounded and saved if you have a healer, but unfortunately, at Tier 1, we don't have that, which is why we're trying to get to Tier 2 as quickly as possible to build that healer's house. Right, well, let's go ahead and upgrade the town center to Tier 2. We've got our required 8 shelters, the market, 30 population, 40 wood planks, and also 25 stone. Stone is probably the hardest thing to get, as well as the population, since you've got to wait for population and then, of course, find stone wherever it may be. So we're going to go ahead now and upgrade, and it'll take just a little bit for our workers to come over. In the meantime, remember that F2 in the game brings up all of the different types of buildings that you may be looking at and the resources within them. So if you press F2, it'll tell you what a building is, what it's producing, and maybe perhaps how many people are working there. For example, I think since this shows 3, it shows that there's 3 people in the building, now 4. So there's 4 people working on making planks. You can press F2 again to disable that, and you can press F3 to bring up all the information about people in your town. So you can see everybody's name, what they're doing, and what they might have in their inventory. And you can press F3 again 2 more times to be able to bring up, like, for example, health bars and such. F4 in the game helps to show you resources and how much may be there. So, for example, before it would just show berries, but now it shows us that there's 8 berries there. Before it would show us that there was clay here, now it shows that there's 1,148 clay. And you can see all the breakdowns of all the berries and greens and things around. So we know that it's a good idea to probably build ourselves a forager ASAP and start foraging from that area as well. So we'll add to the one that we've already got going over here. Yeah, we got one going over on this side, so might be another good idea to build another one up here for the winter harvest. So that's something that we'll have to do as soon as the town hall is complete. So we'll lay that out. You can also see that I've added to the town. I've put a few buildings on hold and have started to lay out the town. And we've also got ourselves the ability to expand over here, but the land is a little steep. So, of course, we could use tools like flattened terrain or whatnot. And, of course, another wolf attack. And, ironically, right over by the graveyard. Not a great spot for him to be. That's very, isn't it ironic? Let's go ahead and jump over there. Ooh, quickly, sir. Hit that road. Go, go, go. All right. So yes, your people can run much faster on the road, so it's a nice idea to also have roads snaking outside of town, so that way your people can quickly run back in. All right, we're going to set up a roadblock for this little wolf. You can see our people quickly addressing the problem. Luckily, all of our citizens come with some sort of crude weapon, like a small dagger or something to protect themselves from animals such as this. But you can always equip them with better weapons later on in the game. There we go. And of course, have an army, and there is combat, of course, raiders and whatnot in the game. So good times. All right, is everybody working on this? Let's go ahead and make this a top priority with all of our workers so we can get this done. We'll build a forager up here to take advantage of those other types of food. For now, again, we can remove this building later when we start farming and want to expand the town, but we'll kind of build it a little further out of town because there are some greens and such over there, so not too much work for the, the forager, for example, is walking through the woods the whole time. There's not roads going to each and every one of those things, so you can build buildings far off the roadway. There is no need to always build roads to everything, and of course the roads start out this way. A lot of people were mentioning that they don't like that it looks like a wagon road, but of course we start with a wagon, and wagons are a part of the game for transportation, so it just makes sense that since traders and your initial starting wagon and your wagons that you can build when you start mining clay all do that. But that's a much different thing for a much different time. All right, so we've got ourselves all the wood here at the storehouse 46 being brought over. There's also some being stored here at the sawmill, which we built, so that's all going from there, and workers are bringing that over. So one of our first priorities after this should be to give everyone a basket and give everybody shoes in order to increase their capacity and their speed, which will speed up things immensely. So if we go to resources, we can take a look here at the basket shop, the cobbler, and even importantly, the tannery, which will give them winter clothing. That'll create hide clothes in order for them to stay warm during the winter. The cobbler, which speeds up overall movement, and the basket shop, which will also speed up a lot of the ability to transport more goods. So probably best for us to do that. You could do that right as you're upgrading your town hall, or just before, or just right after. But I would recommend doing that at about the same time that you have the resources for town hall to go to tier 2, or just after its completion. And the nice thing is once tier 2 is complete, it does unlock a lot of other service buildings to help keep everybody alive, like the healer's hut, which is good for maintaining as much life as possible. And then, of course, some of the other stuff I mentioned, like, for example, the wagon shop, which is required for going to tier 3. So you can get started on that. The road to tier 3 is very long, so the earlier you can start, the better. But much more importantly than that is the health and the happiness of your citizens over time, and, of course, providing them with more and more homes. So in this case, they want soap, which we'll be able to build at tier 2. They want shoes, which we can build as soon as this is done, and they want more clothing, which we can do with the tannery. A lot of this is just dictated by our population. So right now we've only got 6 people. So if we would have built all the cobblers and all the basket weavers and such, people would be busy in those industries, and we'd have less people to gather the resources that we need to upgrade the town hall and continue to build those buildings, such as the planks and the logs and the stone, etc. And of course, now that we went for our market, we have ourselves a lot more gold. Things will continue to go bad here in the town until we built our Cooper, but that's a much, much later thing. All right, Town Hall is just down to 8 materials required, and there they are. And our people have planted trees. I've ordered trees and decorations and stuff around all of the different little areas in the town. And once we get to Tier 2, decoration and desirability are much more important, so best to plan for it early and leave a little space around your Town Hall. There we are! Tier 2. Fantastic. All right. Everyone, that is it for our initial day 1 start of the game. I think this is something you can definitely do within a few hours of playing the game for your first time, and a great way to learn. And if you need to restart or whatnot, remember you can hit escape and do the restart map option. So once you've kind of learned your basics of setting up your map, you can restart the map from the very beginning, so the map layout will be the same. You'll know it like the back of your hand, and then you'll be able to build your city faster each and every time. Please do leave your tips and things that I may have missed, or things that have changed, down below in the comment section. Please do ask your questions, and we'll try to get back to you as quickly as possible. And check out Farthest Frontier on Steam. August 9th, 2022 into early access. This is a great starting point for a new city builder out on Steam. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Share with a friend and learn more by subscribing. We'll see you. Goodbye.